A very wonderful good day to you. It's always a pleasure to greet you. We're excited because God is with us. God has proven himself so real. God has proven himself to be the God that hears and answers. He's proven himself to be the God that he promised to be to Mount Zion Missions members and to all the people of God in the Church of God, for his saints on the earth. He's a God that has promised us, Mount Zions, that he will lead us and feed us with his outstretched hand under an open heaven. He knew beforehand that we were going to have this turbulence, this storm, this category 5 hurricane called coronavirus. And God prepared us before time, like we should be prepared all the time for storms. He prepared us for this big category 5 hurricane that will come against us. So now we know for sure, we are guaranteed for sure that in this storm we are being led and fed by God. I wanted to say something to you. That we are led into the storm sometimes by God. We are led through the storm by God. And great need to be praised as the hand of God that leads us out of the storm. And so I shared the word of God last Sunday on being led and fed through the storm. Why would God want to take us through a storm anyway? Why would he permit his good children, his wonderful saints that he loves, his pastors, his ministers, his deacons, elders, people that he called to the ministry and appointed and ordained, why would he want to allow us to go through the storm? Somebody asked, why the storm? What will we learn from the storm? We learn it in the storm to depend on God. We learn it in the storm that Jesus is a shelter in the time of storm, that he's our rock of ages, that he's a strong tower. We learn that he's our Jehovah Jireh. We learn that he's the rock in the desert, in the wilderness, the rock that the water came from. We learn that he's the God that feeds us with manna, provides manna, heavenly food in the wilderness. All of that we will learn. And so if we didn't go through some storms, we would not know what he could do. We do not know how to trust him. We do not know his potential. And we will not know the capacity that we had in order to withstand storms and come out better on the other side. God is testing our metal, testing what we have in us. And he knows what we have in us. And he knows what we can do. He knows our potential. And he wants to take us through the process so that we come out, being tried and tested and proven that we can make it through the storm. And so I thank God for the word today, and I declare the word blessed to you. Apostle Chris and I, we're going to share this word today with you on the word we shared on Sunday, led and fed through the storm. And I want to just go back and just remind you that I dealt with 4 biblical characters. I may not have time to touch on all of them. I'll probably do it in segments. In this first segment, I may just touch on Moses. Because we didn't have time to really develop, the process of Moses' storm. And so I might take some time to just develop on the storm that Moses encountered. Remember that God met Moses in the backside of the desert in Exodus chapter 3? He saw the burning bush, and he was inquisitive. He went near, and God told him to take off his shoes because the place where he was standing was holy ground. Yes, all of that. And he went closer, and God said to him, I'm glad I got your attention now, hear me. I'm sending you down to Egypt. Egypt. The same Pharaoh that you ran from, I'm sending you back to the same people. Yeah, that was in Egypt. So Moses asked, when I go there, who shall I say? Shall I say, sent me? And he said, I am the I am. So God sent him. That's why I told you that God leads us into storms. He sent him down to Pharaoh. And he told him, I will be with you. One of the things that must be very prevalent in our minds when we go through a storm, because all of us let me back up. Everybody must go through a storm. Everyone that loves the Lord, your sweet, wonderful sister that sings in the choir, you're going to go through a storm. Your wonderful deacon that prays all the time, yeah, you're going to go through a storm. You great preacher that knows God and that can prophesy, and you're apostolic, yes, you're going to go through a storm. A little sister in the back seat that sits quietly and not trouble anybody, and this whispers quietly, yes, you're going to go through a storm. Wherever we are, whoever we are, whatever role we're holding in church, we must go through a storm to prove what God can do and who God is and how he operates and what is in us to bring it out. In other words, we must be tested and tried in order to be promoted. So we must go through a storm. So here was Moses, being sent to Pharaoh. And of course he would have felt confident. God said, and with you, God told him, put the rod down. He saw the rod display the serpent, and so he saw what happened. He saw the magnificence of the power that can be shown to Pharaoh. So here was Moses going down like a lamb to the slaughter to Pharaoh in Egypt. And then God told me to tell him to let him go. Who told him to say that? Storm started. He walked into a category 5 hurricane that lasted through 7 plagues. The plagues came one after the other. And each time the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. Although he sent Moses, each time the storm got more and more ferocious. So that's what God can do. Harden Pharaoh's heart. It wasn't easy because God said he wanted to prove his power to Pharaoh. Isn't that funny? That's strange. And God will send you and then God will create storms around you. And God will call you and lead you into a storm. Because he knows that he's capable of keeping you. And the devil will tell you that you're going to be destroyed. One thing I can assure you, you're not going to die in the storm. You're definitely going to go over. And of course Moses had his real storms. After he was able to get out of Egypt, Pharaoh said, okay, at the death of his son, all the firstborn sons were killed. Pharaoh said, it's time that you have to go. Get out, get out. And he drove them out literally. And when they got out, what happened? He chased after them. More storms. And then in front of them, behind them, Pharaoh and his horse, his real horse. I mean, he got the best chariots and horses to chase after them. And then they were in sea before them. More storms. Out of one going into the next. Storm behind and storm in front. What do you have to do? God told you to use what you have in your hand. You can pray, pray. You can fast, fast. You've proven God before. Prove him again. The miracle that he did for you last time, that will give you enough faith to motivate you to believe God for another miracle. So raise what you have. Use what you have in your hand. You have a past miracle in your hand. Raise that against the enemy. Tell the devil, my God did it for me last time, and my God will do it for me again. My God is able. You know the story, it parted, the Red Sea parted, they all went through on dry ground. And here it is, Pharaoh and his entire host was destroyed in the Red Sea. That storm is over. But now here, it goes over. And as soon as he got over it, he led them into the wilderness. He did it in a place with a lot of plenty, with villas and pools and fantastic, outdoor seating and dining and that kind of stuff, top restaurants. He led them in a place where there was nothing. Wilderness. Isn't God awesome? Because he knows that he can feed and lead. So he's proving a point, proving his power. And then there was no water. But he was a rock in the wilderness. And then he had to get water from the rock. And then there was no food. And manna came from heaven. God will provide man, whatever it takes. If he's got to rain it from heaven to feed you, he'll do it. And he'll feed you spiritually, and he'll feed you naturally. That's the God we serve, and we know. And of course, you know that the Israelites, without Moses was taken. He didn't even enter the Canaan land. But he went to a greater land. He was elevated to a higher place with God. And of course, so he had a victorious ending. Every child of God stays on board, stays on course with the will of God, the purpose of God, always have an awesome, victorious ending. You don't end defeated. The battle is the Lord's and he will win. Because he's the winner, you will win. Over to Apostle Chris.
Certainly there's a storm. There's a reason for every storm that we pass through in our lives. And very often we may never understand the reason why storms will come to us, the intensity of the storm that we're passing away. Very often we may never ever be prepared for every storm that will come. One thing we can be sure of, the storms will come.
Sure.
At different magnitude, different intensity, and they will affect you and I differently. In one location, particularly have something like or mini storm, or we could probably call a tornado. It functions in a lot of ways like a storm, but it has a narrow path. And you may escape a storm by a couple feet one side of wherever the epicenter of this thing is. Say to play earthquakes, storms will come your way. We do not know the reason for storms, but one thing we know, they're inevitable. And I think sometimes we might debate the purposes of storm. We can very well do that. I know they all have their purposes in where we live, where we are in the Caribbean. They bring most of the way forward. We need is a very critical time for us. Right now in the Caribbean, we go through what we call a dry period. There's a dry season, and the ground's really hard right now. Very little food can be planted now. But when the storms come, it brings something very critical to life: rain. And sometimes we don't understand why it works that way and why the Lord allowed that process. The storms are critical for your life, my life, because it helps to test us, it helps to prepare us for the battles ahead, and it also prepares for how we will overcome those battles. Because battles will come to us in many different forms. You and I must be prepared for the battle, because you know the storms will come and test the quality of your house, your building, the quality of your character, the quality of your relationship. Storms will come that way to test you. So because somewhere down the road there's even maybe something bigger, and if you know you've passed through this, I've done this before, I could do it again. The men of the sea that spent their lives on the water, they're pretty good at understanding how to assess a storm, and whether or not they need to take cover, when they need a diver, or they can go through this. Some storms are not hard to go through. Some are extremely devastating. And we must know when that storm comes, what to do. One thing we know biblically is true. Whenever a storm comes our way, God has a purpose for that storm. It's going to take you somewhere. It's going to test you somewhere. Somehow, it's going to prepare you for something critical. And when we prepare for that storm, and the Lord takes us through, and we are renewed and refreshed through that storm, we're able to face the next battle that will come our way. We're even more prepared for the next storm, because every storm comes. After every storm, there's a calm. When the storm goes, the calmness, a rebuilding, a reconstruction, and a reorganization of one's life, and then it takes you to victory. Generally, when we rebuild after a storm, the quality of the build is much better. And sometimes what the storm comes to do is magnify the flaws in our building codes that we use whatever building you are into. Right now in the Caribbean, we've gone through that quite often and try to look back look more closely at the quality of our buildings. We're building better. We're building much better than we did 50 years ago, right? We're doing a lot better at it. But the storms that will come that will even test even that. And hear me, there's a physical concept of it. The spiritual concept is even greater. The storm, the enemy will bring many storms in your lives and my life and our lives to try to derail us and take us off our center. We must know where we're going. And the storm, if the storm comes to block you, you got to go through the storm. If you could get ahead of the storm, you go ahead of the storm and get there. But one thing we know, they will come to us.
Oh, yes.
When they come, our responsibility is to trust the God that's a master of the wind and the wave. He knows how to take us through that. In Jesus' case, Jesus was in the back of the boat, laid down where there's a huge storm. You imagine how those guys felt. They were terrified. Right? They were terrified. Honestly, they're scared. I can imagine how we feel right now in the Caribbean, and probably all over the world with this COVID-19, this pandemic is going on. People are really scared to even walk outside the house and breathe in the air. They think they will get it that way. And quite possible some may have done that. But that's the concept of what a storm is. You do not know. There's so many unknowns, so many variables, so many dangers that you're exposed to, you don't know what to do. At this time, we must trust the God who can take us through the storm.
Yeah,
When he does that, we are much better and we become more successful. Doctor.
thank you so much, Pastor Chris. I agree with that so much, wholeheartedly. So we thank God for, sharing His word with us. We've learned about Moses, and in our next series, we're going to go to another biblical character. But apart from the biblical characters, look at us. We go through storms every day.
Every day.
You're going through a storm right now. We all experience storms. Right now we're experiencing a global storm called Corona. How you dealing with it depends on your trust in God. And the enemy will be fear and trepidation and doubt. And it make you think that whatever, if you got a fresh cold or you sneeze, he'll make you think you have corona. Tell the devil he's a liar. That you're a child of God and
Feel
God
sorry for you, that
has
crazy.
promised to watch over you, to protect you from all evil. And he promised you in Psalm 91 that no plague will come near your dwelling.
Amen.
You have a right
Amen.
to invoke that on your life and your family
Amen. Hallelujah.
every single day. So the storms are here. We're in the middle of the storm, we're in a bit of a ship. And the disciples said, oh, we're going to die. And they woke up Jesus, cares or not that we perish, we're going to die and you down here sleeping. Jesus got up, he got up and he rebuked the winds and the waves. And everything was calm. He's a storm whisperer
Yes.
and he's in your ship.
Yes.
And he's leading you. He led you into the ship. He told the disciples, come, let's go over. He told Moses, go over to Pharaoh. Let him down to Egypt. Create the storms on his life. Take him to the wilderness. Let him into storms. I mean, all the way along. Moses has so many storms. One storm after the next. But now, victorious. And so I declare, you're victorious. I bless you. I bless your household. I bless your ministry. I bless your life.
Amen.
I bless all that you have. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
God bless.